I don't know what we all expected. Certainly, he was a disappointment in Buffalo, but he's been their best cornerback.
We've seen a lot on the internet, him making consistent plays. Kaiir Elam, is this going to be, one of these guys when we look back on it that we're going to have to tip our caps to the Cowboys, scouting team and front office and saying this was the guy they took a chance on. The traits was there from a first round pick. He's making some plays in training camp. Are we just seeing the highlights, or has Kaiir Elam truly been, one of those standouts at training camp?
He's been consistent. There's no question he's been a standout training camp, but I don't know what we all expected. Certainly, he was a disappointment in Buffalo, but he's been their best cornerback day in and day out. There's no question about that. You talk about these interceptions, but we've seen a lot of cornerbacks drop interceptions. I mean, a lot of times they play cornerbacks to catch the ball. When he's had a chance to get an interception, he's got an interception. And you cannot downplay that. We know that Byron Jones stayed here 35 years and got that one pick. We know how many interceptions my boy Skandrick dropped. And so for him to make these interceptions. Yesterday he made an interception. I think CD and Dak were on the wrong page, and CD was running a different route, and the ball was out there, and he took it, and took it to the house. But yeah, he's been very consistent, and it's at a need position. We know it's, and we talk about the back and forth with Diggs, and I talked to Diggs yesterday, and he said he doesn't want he don't want to continue to back and forth with the front office. Okay,
that's so after he tweeted out a hat?
Yes, the cap. The cap.
He tweeted out a hat.
Yeah, no cap.
It's not called a hat.
Bills.
It's not called a hat.
As a branded Bills, no cap.
Is that a branded Bills? What was he doing there?
It's not called a hat.
What is it? What does the hat tweet? What does a hat tweet mean?
He didn't tweet out a hat. It's called no cap. No, that's cap. That's cap.
No kizzy.
That's cap.
And they tell you.
And
no
Cap would be referring to Stephen Jones, saying we thought he'd be further along, and that if he had worked out with us, he'd have been further along.
Yeah, all of that.
yeah.
All of that. But anyway, he doesn't want to go back, but it's important that Elam is here and is able to step up and be that player, because again, you got the concerns around Diggs, you got the concern around Rebel, and they're not playing. You do need somebody. All you got to count on coming into the camp was Bland. And so you needed Elam to step up, and he stepped up in a big way. He's been there, again, one of the best players in camp, one of the surprises in camp, certainly the best player, one of the best players in the secondary in camp for sure.
Well, I want to go backwards to what you said. I heard you say he's been the best corner in camp. That includes Deron Bland.
Deron Bland missed 3 or 4 days.
Okay, so yeah, because he was one of the 17 guys.
He had a baby.
Had a Halloween
baby.
He
missed 3 or 4 days, had a baby.
Has K9 come back yet?
No, he ain't back.
Not back. Well, he went back yesterday. Maybe he'll be back today. He missed 3 or 4 days having a baby too.
Mm-hmm. First round money. He ain't worried about it.
I guess. But this back and forth thing between Stephen Jones and Trayvon Diggs, like this, does this end well for Trayvon?
They should fight.
I mean, what's end well? I mean, we again, as I've been saying since September. I mean,
I should say this.
Well, that's September.
How does this end? How does the back and forth petty in the media? How does it end? How does it end?
Tell me how the season ends. I tell me how much he plays. I mean, I think it's written on the wall that this is his last year. Everything, all the writing on the wall says this is his last year. The guaranteed money is out. Okay, they got to make the decisions on other cornerbacks. They got to make decisions on other players. They can use his money to give it to someone else. If he doesn't play a full complement of games, depends on when's he coming back. I mean, there are a lot of decisions. You talked about Elam and the job he's done. Well, Elam's a free agent too. We talk about, hey, we want Pickens to stay. In 1 year, we traded for him. He plays well. We want him to stay. Well, what if Pickens plays well? You may want him to stay too. And then you got Rebel, you got Bland. They got a lot of decisions they got to make. So, again, I think it's the writing's on the wall that this most likely is Diggs' last year. Even if he has a good year, I mean, he's almost been healthy for 1 year since he got paid. And we don't expect to play every game this year. Since he got paid, he's never played a full season. So it's time to, cut bait and move on to another player, especially when you use that money on someone else. But again, how it ends, hopefully it ends with Diggs being on the field, as he said in September, and having a good year, and the Cowboys having a good year, and they have to make hard decisions on who they pay in the offseason.
Clarence, you mentioned earlier that Jay Toya was getting some reps with the first team.
Joe Hoyt vindicated.
Yeah, right. Is there
Rotation.
writing? Is there writing on the wall? Because you hear how Eberflus and Shoddy talk about Mozzie or lack thereof when they talk about Mozzie, and now you're hearing Jay Toya getting some first team reps. By the time we get to week 1, is there a realistic scenario where you're like, you know what, we're going with Jay Toya and Solomon Thomas, or what's my guy named Pernell? What's his name?
Perrion Winfrey.
Perrion Winfrey. Are those going to be the guys?
His name, UFL man.
Yeah, those going to be the guys who march out there week 1 versus Philadelphia?
No, not as long as Jerry's still in Mozzie's corner. And we got to understand that there's still the Jerry wild card here, and that's the guy he drafted. And now he's still in Mozzie's corner and talking about, even Shoddy talked about Mozzie's quickness, and Jerry talked. That's why you got to take everything they say sometimes with a grain of salt. And because I asked Eberflus, how you gonna get the most out of Mozzie? Doing some of the same things as third defense coordinator, third defense, and certainly I know you it was a less than enthusiastic answer. What you were analyzing yesterday. I saw your tweet about it, but I just don't. At 310, they keep saying he's still powerful, but you watched him in this video, and I had video of him. Tyler Smith just basically put him on his back. You don't want your defense tackle on his back too many times. But that still happens, and you talk about this run defense. And so they got a lot of, Eberflus was talking about, I want fast, long, and lean. And I don't know. And then we talked to him in the walk-off. We were just talking about what types. And he said, you still need big guys in the middle. You still need big guys in the middle. You still need big guys in the middle to stop the run. He's still your biggest guy.
Jay Toya is 342, Clarence.
Okay, 340. What are your again, it's a rotation. No one's defense tackle. You only played 20, 30 snaps a game anyway. So yes, Jay Toya is going to be in there. They have to have someone else. They have to rotate those guys. He plans on rotating those guys in the middle of that defense. Now, who starts, we'll see.